Illini win, and Brad Underwood may have just found his starting lineup.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to a post-game edition celebratory episode of Locked On Illini. It's been a while since we've done one of these, so let's get W's in the chat. Let's make sure we smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. 81-61 victory over the Iowa Hawkeyes. And I'm going to get to the game in a little bit, but I do think now we can breathe a little bit easier about what our plans could be in March. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name, of course, is Sonny Verma. Find me on all your favorite social medias. Send me a message. Locked On Illini. I'm having conversations with all of you each and every day. A bunch of you in the Discord today. We had a great time. Shout out to Drew in the Discord, Locked On Illini Discord, who called it out before the game, said, I think that Tomi Ivisic is going to have his best game of the season so far. And that's exactly what he did with 22 points on 9 of 13 field goal shooting. We'll get to that in a little bit. But it's just nice to come on these shows and just have a smile on my face and not have to worry about some of the comments that I've been having to deal with on the show and the previous couple post games. I want to be honest. I'm not going to celebrate about this victory. Iowa's not good. And I've been saying Iowa's not good for a few weeks now. But I was still nervous over the last couple of weeks just because of the way Illinois was playing. And this wasn't a game that I thought that Iowa could beat Illinois. This was a game that Illinois could beat Illinois. And especially the way they've been playing, making those mistakes, not hitting those three-point shots. I felt like Illinois was vulnerable until yesterday. Until last night when I started recording the preview episode the preview for this game tonight. And, I decided to change my mindset a little bit. The team is healthy, and you kind of got a glimpse of what the team can look like when it's healthy, especially those top 5 guys. Let's just start right there, right at the beginning. Brad Underwood goes with the starting lineup that a lot of us have been clamoring for a very long time. He started Kasparis, Kylan, Trey, Will Riley, and Tomi Ivisic. Arguably, our 5 best players started the game together at the beginning of the game. What a concept. And it worked. Illinois, at least in the first 5 minutes, were on fire. They went on a couple of runs themselves. Iowa, of course. Illinois tends to go on an offensive slump at least once or twice each half. Illinois went through theirs. Iowa made a comeback. I believe they're down 3 at one point. But I'll be honest, this wasn't a game that I really felt stressed out about in any sort of way. Illinois clearly was the better team out there, and they are the better team, but they were playing with more confidence. And quite honestly, Iowa was the perfect tune-up game for Illinois. They don't have the bigs to really make you miss Morez Johnson at all. And not only that, Tomi Ivisic looked like an all-star center in that first half. He carried this Illinois team. I'm curious. Let me ask you guys right now. I'm obviously going to get to it in the second segment. Who's your MVP today? Because there's 2 or 3 guys that stick out to me, which is nice to say because I feel like the last couple of games I've been clamoring and trying to stutter my way, trying to figure out who the MVP could be. I think there's a lot of guys today who had a pretty solid game. Not a perfect game. Again, this is Iowa. Iowa's just not a very good basketball team. But it's just, I said I wasn't down about losing to Duke because we lost to Duke. Duke is a fantastic basketball team, a very, very good basketball team, arguably the best in the country. I was upset with the way we lost that game. And I'm not even talking about 43 points. I'm just talking about lifeless everything. A team that showed zero confidence, a team that looked like it might be broken. And on the same note, I'm not celebrating that Illinois beat Iowa and that Illinois beat Iowa by 20 points. I said that this could very well happen in the preview show. What I like about it is Illinois at one point, again, I don't have the updated box scores in front of me now, had 40 of those 81 points inside. especially in that first half. They played a lot of that game inside out. And it's common sense against this Iowa team because they don't have a big with Freeman gone. It's very easy. Like a high school coach could have come up with this game plan, but let's be honest. With Brad, you just never know. With this team, you just kind of never know that even when the advantage is right in front of your face, Koff plays zone defense against Michigan State. Brad still sometimes just does his own thing, but today that was just not the case. All 5 starters carried this team today, and again, it made me feel a lot more comfortable, and I'll be talking about it in future episodes. I said, hey, let's get our confidence back against Iowa, and I hope we did with this victory today. And then you just roll the ball out and let your talented 5-6 guys go up against the opposition's talented 5-6 guys. And you know what? More often than not, Illinois can win that battle. And we're going to be talking about Michigan on Sunday. And that's a game where Michigan's going to be playing all out. They're going to have the game at home, and they're playing for a conference title. Illinois, how wonderful would it be to play spoiler in that game for all the, the ill feelings that we have towards Michigan, towards that COVID year, when the Big Ten awarded them the Big Ten championship, despite Illinois having more victories that year. To be able to play spoiler and basically cost them their chance. I mean, not that I'm going to feel any better about handing it over to Michigan State, but the point is, this was a game 3 days ago that most of us, me included, hand up, started wondering, hey, can we beat Iowa? I know Iowa's bad, and I know we should beat them, but our team is broken. Can it be fixed that quickly? And at least tonight, it looked like it was. And now who knows? With Michigan coming up, with Purdue coming up, again, I said in the pregame show, Purdue's not looking good themselves right now. Illinois had 3 straight losses, and we thought the world was ending. Purdue is in the middle of a 4-game losing streak right now. And it's not even if they were playing fine, guys. And I'm talking about Michigan. Michigan, take a look at their numbers. I think they're 8-3 in their last 11 games, but the point differential is plus 16. I mean, that's incredible. Like, there's a lot of bounces and luck that's going the Wolverines' way. But even if those teams are playing at their top level, and this is where Silly Sunny comes on, this is where some of you are going to, call me a homer. That's fine. I try not to be. I try to be very neutral on the show. I mean, lean towards positivity, but I think that's the nature of being a content creator. You guys are going to tune in if I'm only negative all the time. But this team is healthy now. This team, they're not battling illnesses. They're not battling injuries. Knock on wood, of course. Outside Morez Johnson. And Jake Davis still looks like he's still not 100%. He's probably in that 80-ish% range. We didn't really ask for him to do much today. But, for the most part, you got Kylan. You got Kasparis in that backcourt. You got Will Riley. You got Tomi Ivisic. And now it looks like, and this is something I'm very happy to say, is Tre White is back in the rotation. Trey is one of those guys who, again, I want to focus on later on this week because I feel like I'm a lot higher on him than some of you guys, some of my listeners, whether it's on the podcast side or the YouTube side. I just think he's a really good college basketball player who maybe is in a bad fit because of Brad's stubbornness on shooting 3-pointers. But it's one of those where he's a good college basketball player if you just let him do what he does best. And that's just drive to the rim, in transition, get foul calls. Tre White gets the foul calls that Will Riley and Kasparis should be getting. Like, Trey's just one of those guys where he gets a little bump. He's very good at drawing those fouls. And we missed that. Illinois, we got spoiled last year with the way Terrence Shannon Jr. did it last season and the season before. We don't really have a guy that could do that this year. Kasparis and Will Riley, they put their heads down and they go to the rim and they get bodied. They get hit, but they don't get whistles. Tre White does. And for me, I talked about this on social media and a lot of you guys agreed with me. What I really liked is Trey was smiling today. Trey looked like he was having fun out there with his teammates. And if Trey is playing like Trey did in December, again, I just think this elevates how good of a basketball team this is. You're talking about another cog in this rotation. When Trey was seemingly out of the rotation, I was having second thoughts on how deep this team is, how good this team can be. Because at this point, you're just counting on Will Riley and Jake Davis. Jake Davis, who I like, I'm a supporter of, but I think he's destined to have a big role on next year's team. I'm cool with him coming in for 5 to 7 minutes on this year's team just to, hey, let's see if he makes a three-pointer here and there. Jake Davis doesn't really hurt you. But Jake Davis shouldn't, at this point in his career, be one of your main guys. He's the 8th guy in your rotation. Tre White is much better than that. And so I know I've been talking about him a lot. That wasn't not exactly my plans for this first segment, but it just brought a smile to my face to see that he had a smile on his face, because Tre White playing the way he did today, final numbers, 14 points on 5 of 8 shooting, just makes this team more dangerous. Let's get to more of the players right after this. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off and want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, again, we get to finally celebrate today. Let's get some W's in the chat. Let's hit those like buttons. We're at 38 likes. We got about 102 people watching. 102 of you are joining me on this, Tuesday night? Late Tuesday night. I'm not a big fan of these late starts, especially when I got 2 kids I got to put to bed before I get to do these post games. But you know what? If it means Illinois victory, I'd rather do an Illinois post game celebration with you at 10:30 Central PM than a therapy session at 9 o'clock p.m. So again, it's nice to finally get another win. What does this win mean? Someone in the Discord, again, link in the description if you want to join, asked, does this mean we're in? And I don't think this has locked up Illinois being in the tournament, but I'm breathing a lot easier now. I would be more surprised if we're not in than surprised if we're in at this point. And that's it. Like, we needed at least one more win in that Big Ten conference. Now we're at 10-8. So we've guaranteed ourselves at least a 500 record. We've got 6 quad 1 wins right now. And who knows? It's unfortunate we're not going to get the double bye when it comes to the Big Ten tournament. But, we might be able to squeeze out another win there. And that's just without me talking about Michigan and then Purdue, who, here's me drinking that Kool-Aid, the orange and blue Kool-Aid, but I'm allowed to do that in these post-game sessions. I think we can beat both Michigan and Purdue. And that's just kind of, it's a microcosm of what this season has been like. Just the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and it would almost be fitting. I'm not saying get your expectations to the point that we're going to beat Iowa, Michigan, and Purdue at the end of the year. But I'm just saying, right now, the feeling I have is a lot more optimistic than it is negative. Again, it doesn't guarantee us in the tournament yet. We still have work to be done, but I'm no longer at the point where I'm on the edge of my seat. I think, with the net, the Ken Palm, all those so strongly in Illinois' favor that, and let's be honest, those at-large, the bubble teams really aren't that strong this year. This is not a very strong bubble year. So Illinois, I think, is going to get the advantage. And this might be one of those points where all that national love that Illinois has been getting all season long might work out in our favor, right? If it's between us and another team, I think Illinois is going to be able to get that spot just because of what we bring, the publicity, the crowds and whatnot. So I think Illinois right now, very relieved to say, I think we should be in. And, after a performance like this, Illinois' weakness, right? Turning the ball over. Kasparis today had, I don't see how many turnovers, but the team itself only had 5 turnovers. Illinois, 5 turnovers. We've had games where Kasparis himself has over 5 turnovers. Did not happen today. And I believe Will Riley had 3 of those turnovers. So, Will, I'm not even talking bad about Will Riley. I think Will Riley had a good game. I really think, I'm thinking of from next season creating, and, we have who's the MVP of the game, right? But I also want to start discussing who the everyday guy of the team was after every game. And that's just the guy who was diving for loose balls, who's, trying to take that extra step and try to get a charge call and whatnot. Everything that we've grown to think of what an everyday guy symbolizes. And to me today, that was Will. I loved what I saw from him, despite he'd go after second chances. He dove for at least 2 loose balls that I recall. He had that one where he grabbed the rebound and threw it off the Iowa guy, and the Iowa guy was unsuspecting. Illinois gets to keep the basketball. Will, not a great shooting night, 6 for 15, 1 for 6 from 3-point land, but 15 points, 7 rebounds. You'll take 15 and 7 and a solid defensive effort from Will Riley any day of the week. That's the player that NBA GMs are going to eventually want to draft in that first round. And yes, he would still probably go in the first round of the draft, despite what a lot of Illini fans have been thinking as of late. Let's talk about Tomi. Tomi, I've mentioned before, I really like Tomi's game, but he looked rough against Duke. And I believe he only had 3 rebounds against Duke. And this is a guy who, we can count on for 8 rebounds a game. He's almost a walking double-double when he was fully healthy. But for me, all I could attribute it to was, his ankle was obviously not healthy. And, it's unfortunate, but as each day passes, that ankle is going to get healthier and healthier. And, let's be honest, the Iowa Hawkeyes is probably the perfect team for a guy like Tomi right now to go up against. They just don't have any bigs that he's going to go clash against. But you know who does? The Michigan Wolverines. And Sunday is going to be a very interesting matchup when it comes to Golden and Wolf and their bigs. Arguably, they have the best 1-2 big combo in the entire conference, if not in the entire country. And so Tomi's going to have his work cut out for him. I wouldn't say rough defensive day for Tomi, but you can see how he's helped by Morez Johnson standing next to him. Morez kind of wipes the mistakes that Tomi tends to make. And it's not necessarily Tomi's fault. He's a bigger guy and he's slower to move. 7'1", 250 pounds or whatever he is at this point. Obviously he lost some weight because of the sickness. So, he may not be 250 anymore. But especially in that first half, he carried this Illinois team. I believe he had 13, if not 15 points in just that first half. Every time we threw the ball down low to him, I think he had 8 of our first 10 points. He was making 3-pointers today, 2 for 5 from 3-point land. We'll take that. Illinois as a team finishes 9 for 29, 31%. But I believe they were like 3 for 14 in that first half. So they actually shot that 3-pointer really well in that second half. And again, I know the story of the season has been that 3-pointer is not going in. But it's just all I can do is sit here and be frustrated because Brad and the staff, and even Michael Atulip talked about it on a podcast this week with Jeremy Warner on the Illini Inquirer, that he got to watch practice. And when he watched practice, even he was like, oh, heck, look at the way these guys shoot this 3-point ball. And he was even perplexed on how poorly the team itself is shooting once the actual game starts. But you see, a team that's just built to make 3-point shots when they do, and we're not even saying at a crazy level, just at an average level, this team is just going to be very, very hard to beat because they just have very good college basketball players. They have such good size. Kylan Boswell is one of those guys who I think he's dealing most with some of the confidence issues, at least as of late. But he had such a sound overall game today. He was all up on Iowa's offensive guys. I mean, Peyton Samford didn't have a good game. None of their players really had a good game today, except for maybe Harding, 6 for 12 for 16 points. But even Illinois or Iowa's an Iowa team that has a very good offense, might I add. And I talked about that over the past week too. Iowa's a bad basketball team, but a lot of it has to do with just how porous they are defensively. But offensively, they could score. And that was one of my concerns about this game. Hey, they could score on Illinois' defense because everyone can score on Illinois' defense. But what happens? Illinois holds Iowa to 61 points on and 42% shooting, 33% three-point shooting. Solid defensive game. You know, it's just a solid all-around game. Okay, I know you guys are done listening to me ramble. Let's get to some of your guys' thoughts right after this. All right, like I said, make sure you hit that like button. We're up to 52. Okay, 52 likes, 108 people watching. By the way, thank you all one more time. We've hit 2,200 subs on this channel, and I'm so eternally grateful that you guys join me after every single game. Some of you did it during the football season. Now you do it for basketball season. It makes this job a whole lot easier. Jason Fred says, great win. And he also is so excited to see Ben hit those shots. Great defense too. We need him. Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say. I'm not happy that Illinois beat Iowa. Illinois should beat Iowa 98 out of 100 times. What I like is the little stories, the mini stories, the context of how Illinois beat Iowa. And for Ben to go 2 for 2, I know it's only 2 shots, but it's 2 shots from three-point land that both went in, had 6 points, 3 rebounds, and had a solid defensive game. Sure, he was put in this spin cycle for one of those plays, but just said, if Ben can just acknowledge and embrace his role as a 10, 15-minute player, he's great for that role. I truly believe that. Andrew says, nice to see the guys playing better and keeping the turnovers to a minimum. Hopefully this is our get-right game and can get our mojo back for the Big Ten tournament and then the dance. Exactly right. JR says, great win. Thank you, JR, for joining us. Make sure you watch the Big Ten huddle. GF says, how about Kylan Boswell? Needs to get to the basket like this all the time. He's at his best when he does. How about Tomi? Great post touches and mid-range game. I like this rotation a lot. Yeah. Kylan, again, is one of those guys where because he's built the way he is, 80%, 90% of college basketball point guards can't guard him. He's just too big and too strong. But for Kylan, it's just one of those when he gets to the rim, he's missed more layups than I've ever remember seeing any college basketball player make or miss before. And sometimes right now when he shoots that three, I think it's in his own head. He's one of those players who's kind of mentally, I don't even want to use the word broken anymore because I think hopefully we're beyond that. But he needs to see a couple of those three-pointers go in. Today he hit 1 out of 4, 6 out of 12 from the field goal range. But again, for me, I liked, as you said, GF, just how aggressive he was. GF says, how about Tre White as well? Rebounded the ball like a beast and made some great moves to get to the basket. Sean says what I've been saying all season long. As goes Tomi, so goes the team. Tomislav Ivisic is the most important player on this basketball team. And my everydayers in here, I know you guys know that. You've heard me say that 1 week into the season. He's not the best player on this basketball team, but he's the most important player just because of what he does. The way he opens up your offense because of his great playmaking, passing ability from the top of the key. And on defense, he's the vocal leader. And, this was a defense that was one of the best in the country early in the year. And then, of course, the injuries and the sicknesses all happened, and they started struggling after that. But who knows? Again, the team is healthy now. Let's see what happens. Jason says, get those likes up. Come on and join the Discord. You will not be disappointed. Minus the fact that Sonny is a Cubs fan. Cubs are now 5-0 in spring training, Jason. Watch your words. All right. GF says, like having Ben shooting step in on the line, open threes like he did tonight. He's at his best with this shot selection and when he's around the basket as well. Serena, nice to see You beating teams they should beat is great, but KJ still looks average, and this team struggles to do basic things like inbounds plays, layups, and simple passing. Drives me crazy. I thought Kasparis was fine today. He had some boneheaded decisions when it comes to passing, but again, I'm not upset at that because I'm going to live with that because I think that's, and Brad he says the same word, so I feel like I'm just copying him. Kasparis is able to make his wow plays because he's so aggressive. But sometimes in that aggression comes plays where you're just grabbing your head and want to pull out your hair. Like, what are you thinking? Nikki says, Tomi for MVP for sure, but heck of a game from Kylan. Completely agree. Those are two of the three guys that I thought about. Will Riley, also great. CSC says MVP Brad for finally starting Will. Yeah, and I can't wait to talk about that too later this week. This is the starting lineup that a lot of us kind of wanted, right? Maybe Morez in the place of Trey, but me selfishly speaking, again, I like Tre White. I think Tre White's a really good college basketball player, and I think if Tre White plays the way he does, there's not other guys on this team that really offer what he does, right? Like, again, Kasparis and Will Riley, they attack the basket like Trey, but they don't get the foul calls. And you have to run plays for Will. You have to have the ball in Kasparis' hands. You don't have to do any of that with Tre White. Tre White finds his points, finds his baskets. He'll cut to the rim and get an easy layup or just be faster than the other guy in transition. Global says crowd was light, lots of no-shows, but the crush showed up. GS says, who guards Wolf? Man, I don't know. I'm going to have a preview episode on Friday. I'm recording it tomorrow. That's going to be tough. You might have to start Ben. I can't believe I'm saying that after I'm just telling you about how much we like the starting lineup. No, you know what? This is the plan. This is what I'm going to say you do. You make Michigan adjust to you. You keep your starting lineup. Keep Will. Keep Tre White out there. And sure, Wolf and Golden, they're going to get their points down low. But you know what? One of them is going to have to follow Tre White around. And if Tre White can make his open three-point shots like he did today, Illinois can absolutely beat Michigan. Michigan's not that deep. They've got great bigs, but Illinois themselves, I think 1 through 7 is a more talented basketball team. And so, you know what? Instead of trying to adjust to Michigan, let's force Michigan to adjust to us. Now, I say that, but I'm allowed to change my mind once I actually do my Michigan preview episode. Jason Long says, again, Tomi proves why when he plays well, we play well. He's just such a good passer and middle man. Fred says, glad to see the scoring from the starters. DGL Davis didn't give us much. Ben's late threes helped. Absolutely. Garrett, exactly. Finally. It's just so nice. I knew I didn't have to, I'm sure I have the usuals in the chat who are going to find something to be upset about, which is okay, which is fine. Again, I've said it. This is not a perfect game, but it's just nice that I knew that the temperature of this post game would be a lot better. Jason, again, says 106 people in here. Let's get some likes. We're up to 59. All right, let's get to 75 likes. If you're watching this anyway, if you're watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Help us get this community. Right now, this is already the second biggest YouTube channel when it comes to Illini sports. Guys, this channel's not even a year old. That's just how fast we're growing. And our Discord community is almost at 100 people now. And we're just, again, this is just, and that's only a couple months old at this point. So please join the party. Check it out. It says we're going to make some noise in March. We had some disappointing losses this year, but we are still a good team. When they want to be, I completely agree. Drew says definitely going to need more bench production. For sure. But you know what? Again, I think Jake is he's still recovering. He's not at 100%. Trey, I just think Kylan Boswell was having such a good game today. Kylan and Kasparis were both having such good games today that we didn't need much from Trey. There's games out there that are going to happen where we need Dre's energy and Dre to make or shoot the shots that everyone else kind of seems timid to take. Today just wasn't one of those days. We'll get to more of your comments right after this. Jason says, I think Kylan played maybe one of his best games overall. He starts making some threes and layups to step. Defensively, he absolutely helps us. Yeah, defensively, he's our best wing. He can cause havoc, and he's the reason, I'm being bluntly honest with you, he's the reason I think we can beat Purdue. Braden Smith, as good as he is, and he's incredible, top 5, 6 player in the country, potential All-American. I think Kylan Boswell is a very good physical matchup for Braden Smith. Just, again, through sheer size. I think Kylan, if he can stay out of foul trouble, can really bother Braden. And with Purdue, I know they have 2 All-Americans, but if you can stop Braden Smith, you can absolutely stop the Boilermakers. Brad says, what kind of Kool-Aid am I drinking? Listen, we all know the rule of the post-game shows. For 24 hours, I'm allowed to say whatever I want, whether it's negative, whether it's positive. Whatever I say, it doesn't matter. I might change my mind in the next episode, but 24 hours, we get to vent, and we get to have a really good time. Phil says Michigan will be a tough matchup with Alvarez, but Purdue at home is definitely winnable. Jeff says we can beat them, but we need to emphasize getting the ball inside and driving, play hard defense, and cut turnovers. Tough matchups, it can be done. There we go. I knew it was coming. St. Dominic's Rosary says we won. We beat a garbage Iowa team. Let's build a statue for Brad. A win is a win is a win, right, chat? Tell me I'm wrong. It's one of those. This is not a game that Illinois fans were confident winning even coming into it. So that's why I'm going to celebrate this victory. This is not a ho-hum. If we were 19-5 right now, it'd be like, oh, good thing we took care of business against Iowa. No, this Illinois team is reeling. They've lost 8 of their last 13. And so this is a win that they needed. And I'm happy with it. Did I never change the background? Let me change that back real quick. There you go. Back to your comments. Joe says crowd was way too demure. If you don't want to be involved, sell your tickets to the people that want to go. A lot of people said that. I'm not going to lie. I had the Illinois game, and I also had the Luca game on my phone, so maybe I didn't have it loud enough. But a lot of people are commenting on the crowd noise and whether the crush were loud enough. Global says, every time I see Will in person, it's obviously needs to gain some weight and strength. He had a hell of a time guarding Iowa's front, and his little turnaround jumper floater is always short. TV says, saw great ball movement in the first half, not as great in the second half, held Iowa to their lowest points total. Is that right, TB? See, I didn't even know that. Thanks for pointing that out. I do know that Iowa went through stretches of this game without scoring, and again, that's what I was worried about. Iowa could outscore you. Iowa's not a better team than you, but Illinois can beat themselves and then all of a sudden let an Iowa team that's very good offensively beat you. St. Dominic says, this is where we are at Illinois celebrating a win against a garbage Iowa team, but getting boat raced by Duke. TV says, Tommy's the engine of this team. I don't think we win without him. When he is full strength stamina, he is really consistent. That's exactly, I completely agree with you. TV also says, Tommy's good on defense. He plays smart by staying vertical. He is never in foul trouble, doesn't have much help, and has been full strength. And let's be honest, I think he's a plus defender, but he's slow and he's big. And so sometimes when opponents run back screens, he gets in the way of his own teammates. And that's where, especially in that first half today, you saw a lot of those back cuts lead to easy layups for those Hawkeyes. It's, that happens. Jason says, Trey wants to win too. Maybe I missed something. Let's see. This is a downside. You're exactly right, Sean. Thanks for bringing that up. I meant to bring it up. Out rebounded again. This is going to be a problem. 31-36. Illinois, the way this team is built is to out rebound the opposition because then you're going to get more opportunities to shoot. It's not okay, but it's somewhat okay to shoot a low percentage if you're going to outshoot the other team substantially. But right now, if you're going to shoot a bad percentage and be out rebounded and take the same amount of shots, or if not less, then you're putting yourself in a corner that's going to be tough to get out of. So this rebounding thing, I'm curious what Brad's going to talk about. I'm sure he's going to bring it up in the post-game press conference. I'm very curious to see what he says about that because that needs to be fixed. And I know Morez will help with that, but Morez is not coming back anytime soon, or at least we know of. Who knows? Maybe Brad will give us an update on that. He said the best thing about this game was Brad started the right lineup and let them settle in before subbing. Another fantastic point. I think we went, 5 or 6 minutes before we had our first sub. He just let the starters go out there, roll the ball, and let them do their thing. And you saw the success that we had. Jason says, let's go, Illini Nation. Enjoy this win. We actually looked way better than the last 3 games. Thank you, Sonny, for all you do, everyday content. Oh, Jason, thank you for tuning in every single day. I can only do this because you guys keep tuning in, because you guys keep hitting that like button, and because the subscriber total keeps going up. Trust me, you know who notices? The Locked On Network. I just had a conversation literally earlier today, this afternoon, about the job that this channel is going to, again, people out there don't understand how passionate this Illini fan base is. I always did because I've been involved with you guys, but you guys are doing your job, which makes my job so much easier. TV says we're supposed to beat Iowa, and we did. Those still dumping on the win need to take a break. TV, look, it's fine. You know, St. Dominic's, Czar, those are a couple of guys who they're always critical. In my opinion, too critical and overly critical. But you know what? They're entitled to their opinions just as much as I'm entitled to mine. And that's why I try to keep this a very even show, right? Even on days like this, I still let them get their comments out. And, you know, whether we agree or not, they're allowed their opinion. Jason says, I love how we win and fans still hate. This is why we can't have nice things. Global says, we have little faith in this team's three-point shooting to the point every time they get a look, even wide open, I'm shaking my head and yelling, don't shoot. Yes, but they need to shoot. Again, when the shots hit, they can beat anybody in the country, right? And the thing is, if they stop shooting those three-point shots, I don't know what the alternative is. You can throw it down low, but if Tomi gets into foul trouble, who else are you going to throw it down low to? And even Tomi's not a guy who wants to take the ball and back to the basket, back his guy down. It was fine today because it was Iowa, and Iowa doesn't have a big. They don't have anyone that can push up against Tomi because Tomi doesn't like that. I feel like I'm quoting Tommy Boy right now. Back to my original thought. Tomi likes to play more finesse style. He's not a power type of player. Global says it was a fun game, but we still have our deficiencies we need to avoid. Yeah, that's what I said. You know, it's a good game. Certainly had its flaws, but you know, it's nice to celebrate a 20-point victory. When's the last time we got to celebrate a 20-point victory against a Big Ten opponent? It's certainly been a while. All right, I got to wrap it up. We're almost at 40 minutes already. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'll be back on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all that fun stuff. New content for you. Please, on your way out, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.